Ladies and gents, in the last tutorial we had added a Jack Freeman, then later renamed him to Bob Freeman, and we had, in the last tutorials I guess, because that was the one before, and now we have made him 70 years old. And let's just go ahead and run our application as if we were running it for the first time, and it says that none type doesn't have an age. That's because 70 is not less than 70, so if we do 80, that should run perfectly fine. And the person is 70 years old. Now, we want to delete the 70-year-old. Sounds so bad, but we love him, but he, for some reason, needs to get out of our database, okay? It's because he chose to unsubscribe from our service for whatever reason, okay? So we're not the bad guys. For some reason, he decided he doesn't want to use our service anymore. How do we delete this user from our database? So this Bob Freeman that is in our database, okay, we first need to get him, all right? So we're going to get Bob Freeman, all right? And this is the variable name that we're attaching it. So Bob Freeman equals user.query.filterby. We know that his name is Bob Freeman, and we know that his email for some reason is jack.freeman@jackschoolsite.com, because that's before he changed his name. That was the email that he had. But let's just filter him by the name, which is Bob Freeman. And we know he exists in our database at the moment, so we could just do dot first. Okay, and for now, actually, we could just print Bob Freeman just to see that this code works. So when we save this and it's run again, we can see that Bob Freeman does indeed print out, as we would expect. Everything is working so far as we would expect. So now we know that basically we do have a Bob Freeman user. Cool. How do we delete him? Okay, pretty straightforward. We just do database session. Before we do this, just gonna show an easy way for us to make sure that he is deleted. So we'll just do .all. This will actually return an array, okay, of users. So currently it just has the user Bob Freeman. When we delete him, it should return an empty array. So let's go ahead and do this again. Let's do database set. Okay, not do this again. Let's just delete it. Database session delete Bob Freeman. Okay. And we'll rename this to users because that's really, we did .all now, so we're literally, okay, let's see what the error that we're getting is. So, when trying to delete Bob Freeman, okay, it's saying you're trying to delete a list, okay? So this actually is a bad idea. In order to do this, we need to do like this, because Bob Freeman is the first person of the list, but let's make it a little bit easier to follow visually. We'll just make this again database session delete Bob Freeman, where Bob Freeman is the first person named Bob Freeman because he's the only person in our database, and we'll delete Bob Freeman and then run this code. But before we delete it, again, I just want to run this code one time so we at least see that it says the user Bob Freeman. Now when we run it with the code, it says the user Bob Freeman. Oh no. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's see. Oh, okay. My bad. We're not committing. So basically, after deleting, we also have to save the changes, just as we would regular. Now, when we run this again, it should have gotten rid of this person. Which is why we're getting, in this case, we're getting this error that says non-type object has no attributes, blah, blah, blah. In other words, this is returning none. How can we confirm this? Well, we can simply we can get rid of this delete now. Get rid of this delete and commit. And when we run this as it is, it's going to say none because he doesn't exist anymore. We just deleted him. Okay, we did unfortunately get rid of Bob Freeman as of now. Well, how do we do that again? So suppose this was a Bob Freeman. We just did database session.delete. That's the command. We put Bob Freeman as a dot first. If we had many people we wanted to delete, we would do, for example, if this was users and this was all, so we were getting a list of users, we would do for user in users, and we would do this, for example. I mean, this is an inefficient, there's more efficient ways to do this, but this does the job for now, for starting level. So we would do this, and in the end, we have to make sure that everything we did is saved to the database. We use database.session.commit. And this will get rid of all of the users, especially if we did this without any filtering by. This will definitively delete every single user in the database. As long as you don't get an error, this will do it. Okay, cool. So that's how to delete users. objects, rows from the database. The correct terminology would be to delete rows from the database entries, and technically speaking, in the context of Python, we're using them as objects. We're passing on objects to these functions such as db.session.delete and vice versa. And we're establishing, basically, effectively, we're communicating with the database and saving our changes in the database while not having to write any SQL thanks to SQLAlchemy. Okay, with that being said, that comes to the end of this video. Look forward to the next one and wish you all the best. Peace.